Carolyn, we are going to go through and create your continuous quality improvement plan. And again, that just means goals for you to keep working on as we move forward after your assessment. I'm going to just ask you some questions on those things we went over that we want you to work on or that you think you need to work on. And we will create a plan. Here we go. Let's see. That one's center based. I don't want that one. I got to go back and click on the right one because you're a home center. There we go. Licensed child care homes. I'm so used to clicking on the other one.
Yeah.
There you are. I don't have very many home centers.
First home daycare that got into the Rising Star.
Well, I'm sure glad you did. All right, so in order to create this plan, we're going to set some goals for you specifically and then also some goals for Miss Nady. We're going to, how long would you like this plan to last? So if we are going to work on, so what was the first thing you think you could work on? Those emotional talks with kiddos, or do you want to work more on the paperwork side of things first?
Let's do the emotional.
Okay. So how long do you want me to help monitor that and come out and visit with you ladies on that? We can do as long as you want. It can be a month, 3 months, 6 months.
What's a normal time? I mean,
typically, I do about 6 months. That way, if I do a visit a month, it gives us about 6 visits to check on that and develop
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Because usually if it's just 1 month, then it makes it kind of hard to see if
I
you've
know.
actually implemented any of it. I had to add on my fingers over here. I was like, when is 6 months? All right, so we're going to set that for May, and then I will come out about once a month and observe you ladies and just check to see that you're trying to implement that, okay? And let me scroll down here to where I need teacher-child interactions.
We'll talk about your
Notice that
emotions because you're very inquisitive. That's not the emotions.
All right, I'm going to check this paper right here and make sure that I'm putting in the correct number that we wanted to focus on. PSCR 01 and 02. PSCR 01. Okay. We have all these little things to select from, so I want to make sure I'm selecting the correct ones for you. Nope.
Just like it's not funny, but gosh, it just.
Model encourages emotional expression. That's the one I want. Okay. Had to click on every tab and open all the different ones. So I'm going to assign this goal to both you and Nady, since y'all are both interacting with kiddos in the classroom. And then were there any other goals that you would like to work on as far as like implementing those developmental checklists and what you see? That's the only other one that we have on teacher-child interactions.
We can do both of those together. I mean, not together.
Well, they're easy to work on at the same time.
Yeah,
it's not going to be something. All right. Okay, so I've put both of those in, Miss Carolyn, and we are going to generate you a plan. Typically, what we do next is we create kind of a timeline of how we're going to monitor that school level action plan, since it's both of you. What actions are you going to take as a teacher to start that emotional talk in your classroom? Like, what are some things you think you could start implementing even tomorrow to help encourage emotional talk?
Well, I have some of the little, they're like mirrors, but they have
the emotion
faces.
mirrors.
We can do that maybe after something.
Our feelings first.
What?
How we're feeling in the morning, and then ask them
Okay.
how they're
Yeah.
feeling.
So teacher will begin morning with emotional discussion? Okay. And then what is another step you could take? You said you have the emotion mirrors. So how many times a week or when would you like to implement that activity? So like maybe once a week you use the emotion mirrors, or however many times you would like to?
3 times a
Okay.
week. I mean, I used to have, and I had somewhere the little, they were on big old sticks, but they were, it was a pony. You remember those? That,
We have those puzzles too.
Okay.
yeah.
I'll just put that you will choose at least one other activity that has to do with emotions to implement throughout the week.
Okay.
That way y'all can it can be puzzles, or it can be an emotion song or a book. Just choose at least one intentional activity besides the morning conversation and the emotion mirrors.
Okay.
I put fear rector.
And that could be the puzzles.
Yes, it could be anything. It could be working with Play-Doh and having them make happy faces or sad faces in the Play-Doh, or it
Or
could
giving
be,
them a regular mirror.
exactly, and letting them make the faces. Say, "Can you show me mad?" and then have them
Okay.
do mad. Or,
Okay.
"Can you show me happy?" So any of that, just at least one more time per week. Because if y'all are doing in the mornings, you're doing that as they come in. It can be just as you come in. How are you feeling this morning, Easton? Are you happy this morning? I'm happy this morning. And if you're feeling frustrated, let them know. They're old enough. There's several of these that can understand if you're feeling frustrated this morning, or Miss Carolyn's upset this morning. Let them know that it's okay. You have emotions too, but you don't always have to be happy.
Okay.
And then, like Nady said, do that in the mornings, and then maybe 3 times a week you're doing the emotion mirrors. So then, at least one more time a week, do an additional activity.
Book puzzles and
Mhm.
something.
All right, so that gives y'all 3 action steps that you're gonna try to complete as far as emotions. Now, in order to implement those ASQs and those developmental checklists, what activities would you like to do to help start putting that into your lesson plans? How do you think is a good way for you to implement using those?
Wherever they score low on.
Okay, so start by evaluating where they scored the lowest on.
Now is that the ones the parents did, or the ones
You
that
can do
we
both.
did?
You can check both
Okay.
of them.
Elena. No, this is this one.
And then, like, is there a certain time of day or a certain scheduled activity that you think you could use as like a breakout time with kiddos? So, like, if Nady is doing whole group instruction at the table, is there somewhere that you could maybe work with kiddos on fine motor? Or if they're all at centers and they're working in centers and Nady's down on the ground playing with them, is there a time where you could kind of pull them one at a time to work on those areas for improvement? Like if you have one that is having trouble in gross motor, while Nady's doing centers with kiddos, you could maybe pull that infant or that child over and work just gross motor with them
Okay.
for 5-10 minutes a day. How long of a time period would you like to set for yourself to specifically work on those things? Is kind of what I'm asking.
6 minutes.
Okay.
Or
However many you want.
Okay.
I mean, we can always, if we see they need more or less, we can
Okay.
add and take away. So Okay, so this is what I have for you ladies. Teacher and director will begin morning with emotional discussion about how they and the kids are feeling. Teacher and director will use emotion mirrors at least 3 times per week. And then teacher and director will complete 1 or more intentional emotional activities throughout the week. And then as far as the ASQs,
Now the intentional.
it just means that you're planning it. So it's a planned activity that you have
Oh,
intentionally
okay.
put into your schedule.
Okay.
It can be
okay.
puzzles, book, whatever. It's just
Okay.
not accidentally like somebody's crying and I go, oh, let's talk about emotions now because you're crying. It's something that you put into the schedule
Okay.
intentionally.
Okay.
Director and teacher will begin evaluating ASQs and developmental checklists for areas of improvement. And then director will set aside 6 minutes each day to work on specific skill development with individual children. So that can be any time of day you want. Just look at your schedule and see what is the best time to start doing like a small group or an individual lesson. Usually, like I said, it's typically during center play because you can kind of get them over at the table and work on something specific. Some of it can even be done during playtime. Like if it is gross motor, have some gross motor toys that you bring over, or some fine motor, if that's what it is, that you bring over out in the middle of the floor and have them work with those toys for 5 or 6 minutes, just building those skills. And they're still playing, they're still getting the same stuff the other kids are doing. It's just you're giving them a purpose for that center. You're working specific skills. All right. Any resources you think you might need in order to complete that? We know you'll need the ASQs. ASQ 3s and developmental checklists, because you're going to have to look at those.
They're in our. Did you take those? But I have them.
Okay, so as far as resources needed, I put that you're going to need the ASQs, the developmental checklists, some emotion mirrors, and then any additional emotional activities. So like you said, those puzzles, you may have to take some of those out of the closet.
Well, they're not mine. I bought them from Deborah.
Well, we can work on getting you some of those too.
Okay.
If that's because your wish list will be coming up here pretty soon. So I can put some intentional emotional things on that wish list for you.
Okay.
So that you can have some more
Go ahead and do
options to
that.
choose from.
I mean,
And then timeline wise, I'm going to check in, like I said, at least once a month. So I'll put that on here.
and we didn't use those because every time we get those puzzles out, they just turn them over and start.
Yep. Well, as long as they're
and me and Nady
interacting
have
with
to put
them.
them together.
I was going to say, even if they're interacting with them, you can ask them questions about it as they're putting each piece on. If it's putting the mouth on, what is his mouth doing? Does he look mad? And you can show them the mouth. So it may take some time getting them used to putting it together. And you have such a wide age range. We know these babies are not going to be doing that puzzle. But if you show them the puzzle and you complete it with them and you're talking about it, they're still hearing that language.
Yeah.
So... Right. And then that is it as far as me. As far as your timeline, I put activities will be implemented daily. Mentor will check in and observe at least once a month for 6 months. I need to put that. To ensure that activities are being completed. Does that sound good to you, ladies?
Sounds good.
Is that doable? Alrighty. Then I'm going to save this, and that will be all for today.